Welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to review this book called Mindful to Mindful by Swami. This is a self-help book and it elaborates on the wisdom of Zen. Zen basically is a form of Buddhism that is influenced by Taoism. You may have heard the name of a very famous book called Tao Te Ching. That book is the fundamental text of Taoism. It is extremely arduous task to define Zen, but I'll try my best to explain it as per my understanding. As per my understanding, it is a way to achieve stability, peace of mind, and even enlightenment through our daily activities. And we don't have to do something extra like sitting for meditation, especially, and focusing more and more on tasks that we find very boring. So it believes that one does not have to do any meditation separately, but one can be in a meditative state all the time by being mindful of every activity and action that they are performing. The author Swami, the author of this book, is a monk, and I have reviewed another book from him, so I don't think I need to introduce him again. Um, let's come to the book now. There are many chapters in this book, and before every chapter, there is a cartoon and there is a quote that are very meaningful and relatable to the chapter. I'll talk about some of these chapters from the book because it is not possible to talk about all the chapters in the book. So let's start with the first chapter. The first chapter is on awakening. You will see this very interesting cartoon on awakening on your screen. Now let's talk about the quote that there is. They looked at the calm and radiance on Buddha's face and could not help but talk to him. Are you God? They asked. No, replied Buddha. Are you celestial being? No. Who are you then? I am awake, said Buddha. Then there is this very interesting story of Buddha about how he realized something, and once he was sitting in a meditative state at a place, and there were some folk singers who were passing by. One of the folk singer told to the other one that you are always tinkering your veena. Either you make the strings so tight they snap, or you make them so loose that they are out of tune. Only if you leave them the way they are supposed to be will you be able to produce melodious music. These words fell upon Buddha's ears, and he had something called Satori. It's an instant realization, and he realized that when he was living with his father in his father's palace, he was living a life full of luxuries, and now that he had given it all up, he was living this life of deprivation, and he was even depriving his mind and body of even basic nutrition. And he realized that this is not the way to go about enlightenment, and he realized this, that he will not succeed if he would continue to deny nutrition to his mind and body. And that's why he started to give basic nutrition to his mind and body, and then he attained enlightenment also. So this is something that tells us about how we should not take extreme decisions, extreme stands on issues, because extreme is always harsh and always bad. Now let's come to the second chapter. The second chapter is about enlightened living. The quote before this chapter is, Buddha always carried his begging bowl and wore his robe. A lot of people thought and asked him, why didn't he just sit back and enjoy? Enlightenment is something you have, it's something that you are, it's something you do, Buddha said. This is it tells us that enlightenment is not that it can be achieved and then you have it all of your life. You have to follow the same standards that you did. This chapter shares the first discourse that Buddha delivered to some children after he got enlightenment. He was traveling, walking by, and there was a girl called Nandabala, and she realized that this person is not a normal human being, and she asked him to deliver a sermon to her. And she said that I am expressing my gratitude, I am giving you my gratitude in advance as dakshina, and please bless us with some you know, words of wisdom. And at that point in time, everybody there, all those children had this. All of them had tangerine. Tangerine is like orange. It's a fruit. So Buddha told all of them that when you children peel a tangerine, and he explained what is mindfulness. Uh, Mindfulness is, I would say that mindfulness is Zen. So Buddha explained mindfulness through this fruit tangerine. He said that when you children peel a tangerine, you can eat it with awareness or without awareness. Anything you do in life, there are two ways to do it. You can either do it with awareness or without awareness. When you do it with awareness, you are awake. When you do it without awareness, you are sleeping. Most of our reactions are without awareness. What does it mean to eat a tangerine in awareness? When you are eating the tangerine, you are aware that you are eating the tangerine. This is called being in the present moment. Being in the present moment. So here, then the author goes on to explain how when we eat food, we watch Netflix or YouTube, or we watch TV, and the food is going inside our body, but we don't realize that the food is going. There is no connection between the body and the food, which is very important as per the author. And then the Buddha goes on to say and continues the discourse. He says the tangerine Nandbala offered me had 9 segments. You see, he noticed that there are 9 segments in that fruit. I ate each morsel in awareness, and saw how precious and wonderful it was. I did not forget the tangerine, and thus the tangerine became something very real to me. If the tangerine is real, the person eating it is real. This is what it means to eat a tangerine in awareness. Then he went on to say that your mind is not chasing after thoughts of yesterday and tomorrow, but is dwelling fully in the present moment, children. That is mindfulness. The tangerine is truly present in your life. Living in mindful awareness means living in the present moment, your mind and body dwelling in the very here and now. A person who practices mindfulness can see things in the tangerine that others are unable to see. Another chapter in the book is called Life is a Flower. Before the chapter starts, the quote goes, my life is like a flower. I was sowed at some point in time. I became a bud, was born, and bloomed like a flower. It doesn't matter how much I protect myself, how fragrant I am, how alive I may be. One day, I'm going to wither away. This chapter tells us some exercises that we can do to make ourselves aware of the impending death that there is, and how life should be enjoyed, every moment of it should be enjoyed, and how people believe that if something wrong happens to them, and that happens for like 10 seconds, and then they come back to their home and tell them that my day was bizarre, it was disastrous. The author draws this distinction between those 10 seconds and all those thousands of seconds, maybe tens of thousands of seconds that you lived in the whole day, and says that why do you say that all of your day was bad? It were those 10 seconds that were bad. And then he tells some exercises. He says that when you travel by car or on your office table, you should place a flower. Whenever you feel low, sad or depressed, which can be a daily occurrence in most of our lives, just look at the flower. Remind yourself this, my life is a flower. I am a flower myself, that this is a blessing. Whatever I have now, if I do not take care of it or value it, if I am not grateful for it, it will be taken away from me. This is the unfailing law of the universe. If you don't value what you have, one day you will lose access to that. Caring for something is valuing it. More than 80% of lottery winners eventually go back to being poor because they spend their winnings recklessly. Whatever we don't value, we lose eventually. And then he gives this suggestion that we can make a screensaver on our phone, and we can write on it, be grateful, be mindful, and it will always act as a reminder for us, to be mindful and be grateful for what we have, and be mindful and be like practice Zen all the time. And we all know how much we pick up our phones every day. That will be reminding us like every half an hour to be mindful and to be grateful. And then he says something very interesting about books, and I cannot resist but quote it. There will always be thorns in your life. There are going to be excuses, and people will take things from you they will not return, especially books. People never return books when they borrow them. For the life of me, I can't figure out why. It's a mystery that even Buddha could not solve, I believe. Some people, in the form of thorns, will always be there, all over you. He gives a lesson, he says. Similarly, if you try to fall in love with people or have them fall in love with you, make a relationship work when the other person doesn't want your love, don't bother. Just be loving and kind, and you will attract the right people in your life. If you stay true to your dharma, you will automatically attract the right things, the right situations in life. And none of that is possible in a mindless life or in a rash lifestyle. So follow Zen, be mindful. And none of that is possible in a mindless life or in a rash lifestyle. You can do any or all of this only if you are mindful, gentle, and tender, when you are very Zen like, when you are a flower. One good way to start is to learn to sit quietly and maintain your center awareness, or practice the Zen, in other words. Now, what is Zen? It is the art of sitting in meditation, where you sit down in a comfortable posture and maintain a sense of quietude. And Zazen is different from most other systems of meditation. For in Zazen, you don't try to build your concentration, but simply maintain your center of awareness. Further, in Zazen, you never close your eyes. Meditative living ought to be a part of your life that you see with your eyes. In most forms of meditation, you close your eyes because you want to reduce the sensory input from outside sources. But in Zen, this book is about Zen. What I talked about, how Zen, believes in meditating in while doing daily activities. But in Zen, the idea is the meditative state must be an extension of normal life. Therefore, if I'm shutting down the external world to go into meditation, this is of little use to me, for it is while operating in the real world that I need the calmness and strength gained from my meditation. Now let's talk about tea, which most of us have every day. And there is a kind of meditation that we can do even with tea. The Zen tea ritual is practiced in most of the Zen monasteries worldwide. The idea is that you drink your tea mindfully, preparing it with joy and serenity, taking in all the aroma, the taste, and then savoring it. Sip by sip, you drink so deliberately and so naturally that you experience the tea touching your tongue and then your palate, then going down your esophagus and then into your belly. So basically, it means that be mindful while doing just anything. Let's see another cartoon from the book implying the same. This one, this cartoon implies that even while doing the dishes, when you're washing the dishes, just be so mindful that you become one with the dishes. Now we are just about to end. Before ending, I'll just read out some very nice quotes from the book which should not be missed. Your thoughts, your feelings, your consciousness have no tangible basis. They are empty, impermanent, and transient. And then another very short quote is, nothing matters eventually. Next one is, nothing is born, nothing dies, there is no suffering and no attainment of any kind. There is nothing to gain or lose. In my opinion, this book is a great read with immense life lessons that are extremely simple and applicable in our daily lives. Additionally, I felt very peaceful while reading it, and I go back to it again and again whenever there's some chaos that I have. I go back to it and I start to feel peaceful again, and I feel that stability in my life when I read it. I'd certainly recommend this book for everyone, no matter what your age, what you do, what's your age, what you do. It's all it doesn't matter. This book is for everyone. I'll leave you with this amazing tell-all cartoon, and thank you for watching this video till end. Take care, stay safe.